It was just another Thursday evening when I saw it. I'd picked up Jess's phone to plug it in, like I did most nights because she always forgot to charge it. The screen lit up with a notification that made my fingers freeze mid-air. New message from @Mike_87. Can't wait to see you again. Last time was fire. My stomach twisted into knots. Jess was still in the shower, the water running steadily. I stared at her phone like it might bite me. 12 years together, 5 of them married, and I'd never once doubted her. Until now. I set the phone down carefully, my mind racing. Mike who? Since when does Jess have a Mike in her life who texts her like that? For 3 days, I tried to convince myself it was nothing. Maybe a coworker? A joke taken too far? But then on Sunday afternoon, Jess left her iPad open on the couch while she ran to the store. Before I could stop myself, I was scrolling through her Instagram. That's when I found the second account. @JessAbri22, a username I'd never seen before. No photos of us, no pictures of our dog Max. Just carefully curated selfies of Jess, the kind she never posted on her main account. My hands shook as I opened the DMs. The messages with Mike went back nearly 5 months. Flirty banter. Compliments about her body. Mentions of meeting up. Mike, you looked incredible today. That sports bra was driving me crazy. Jess, your terrible face blowing a kiss, can't wait for Thursday. Mike, same place as last time? Last time. The words burned into my brain. I spent the next week playing detective, hating myself the entire time. Our shared credit card showed charges that didn't add up. $145 at the Lux Hotel bar on a night Jess said she was working late. $92 at Antonio's, that romantic Italian place we'd gone to for our anniversary. 2 charges at a gas station near the hotel, weeks apart. I cross-referenced the dates with her work calendar. None of them matched. I finally placed the name when I saw Mike's profile picture on Facebook. He was the personal trainer at Jess's gym. The one she'd started seeing twice a week 6 months ago. Just trying to get in better shape, she'd said at the time. I'd been happy for her. Supported it. Even paid for the sessions. The irony made me want to punch a wall. I waited until Friday night, after we'd had a nice dinner together. One where she'd been unusually affectionate, laughing at all my jokes, touching my arm constantly. Who's Mike? I asked abruptly as we did the dishes. The plate she was holding clattered into the sink. What? Mike. From your gym. The one you're texting about meeting up with. The one who can't wait to see you again. Her face went through 3 emotions in rapid succession: shock, fear, then anger. You went through my phone? Answer the question, Jess. It's nothing. Just a friend. I pulled up the credit card statements on my phone. Then why were you at a hotel bar on May 12th when you told me you were at a work dinner? The color drained from her face. What followed was the worst fight of our marriage. She admitted to the emotional affair first. We just text. It's harmless. Then when I showed her the hotel charges, okay, we met for drinks. But nothing happened. Finally, when I threatened to call Mike myself, fine. We kissed once. That's it. Her tears felt like manipulation. Her anger felt like deflection. I slept on the couch that night. After a week of tense silence, Jess packed a bag. I'm staying at my sister's, she said, her voice hollow. We need space. The moment the door closed behind her, I broke down for the first time since college. Mike's wife Sarah found me before I could find her. Her Facebook message popped up 2 weeks into the separation. I think we should talk. I have information you need to see. We met at a Starbucks halfway between our towns. Sarah, a petite brunette with tired eyes, showed me screenshots that made my blood run cold. Mike to Jess. I can't stop thinking about last weekend. Jess to Mike. Me neither. Best sex I've had in years. Sarah's hands shook as she scrolled. They've been sleeping together since February. Confronted with Sarah's evidence, Jess finally broke down completely. It was just physical, she sobbed. I love you. It meant nothing. The worst part? I believed her. That's what made it hurt more. What followed were months of stilted marriage counseling sessions. Awkward dates trying to reconnect. Me waking up at 3 a.m. wondering if she was comparing me to him. Some days I wanted to work it out. Others, I wanted to burn our marriage to the ground. Sarah and I became unlikely friends. We exchanged information, vented, even grabbed coffee a few times. One evening she admitted, I think I'm leaving him. It made me wonder if I should do the same. The final straw came when I found Jess's secret email account. More messages with Mike. Plans to meet up again. All from the past week, while we were supposedly working on us. I threw my wedding ring across the room so hard it put a hole in the drywall. My lawyer said we had a strong case for an at-fault divorce. Jess begged for another chance. I didn't have any left to give. 6 months later, I moved into a condo downtown. Sarah finalized her divorce. Jess and Mike are apparently dating now. Some days I'm furious, others relieved. Most days I'm just tired. I ran into Jess at the grocery store last week. She looked happy. So did I think. We made awkward small talk about the weather. As we walked away in opposite directions, I realized something surprising. I didn't hate her anymore. I just didn't love her either. And maybe that was okay. The silence in our house after Jess left was deafening. I sat on the couch where we used to watch Netflix together, staring at the blank TV screen. Max, our golden retriever, kept pacing between me and the door, whining softly. Even he knew something was wrong. I grabbed my phone and stared at our last text thread. "Me, we need to talk when you get home." "Jess, I know. I'm sorry." That was it. No explanations. No begging for forgiveness. Just, sorry. I scrolled up through months of mundane messages, grocery lists, plans with friends, inside jokes that didn't feel funny anymore. When had we stopped saying "I love you" in our text? I couldn't even remember. At 2:37 a.m., I gave up on sleep and fired up my laptop. Mike's social media was a goldmine of hypocrisy. His Facebook was plastered with photos of him and Sarah, #blessed, captions under vacation pics, anniversary posts gushing about his perfect wife. I clicked through to Jess's secret Instagram again. There were comments from other men too, not just Mike. A guy named Derek from her office left fire emojis under a bikini pic she'd posted last summer. A vacation I thought she'd taken with her college friends. My hands shook as I opened Google Maps and typed in the hotel from the credit card statement. Street View showed a boutique place downtown, the kind with mood lighting and expensive cocktails. Exactly where Jess would never go with me because it's too fancy for just drinks. I took a screenshot and sent it to Sarah before I could second-guess myself. "Me recognize this place?" "Sarah, oh God. Mike's business dinner spot. He took me there for our anniversary last year. My best friend Chris came over with a six-pack the next night. Dude," he said, cracking open a beer, "you need to decide if this is salvageable." Across town, I knew Jess was having the same conversation with her sister Lauren. I could picture them curled up on Lauren's couch, glasses of wine in hand, Jess painting me as the villain somehow. Chris scrolled through the evidence on my phone, whistling low. She really fucked up. "That's the thing," I said, rubbing my eyes. "Part of me wants to hate her. But mostly I just keep wondering, when did we stop being enough for each other?" Dr. Rosen's office smelled like lavender and regret. Jess sat as far from me as the couch would allow, picking at a loose thread on her cardigan. "Mark feels betrayed," the therapist said gently. "What would you like him to understand, Jess?" She took a shaky breath. "That I never wanted to hurt you. That I got lost." "Lost where?" I snapped. "In some hotel bed with your trainer?" Jess flinched like I'd slapped her. The therapist intervened, but the damage was done. We left early, the silence between us louder than any argument. Lisa from accounting messaged me 3 weeks into the separation. "Lisa, heard about you and Jess. Coffee if you need to vent?" We'd always had easy banter at work functions. Harmless flirting. Now I wondered, was this how it started for Jess too? At the cafe, Lisa reached across the table to squeeze my hand. "You deserve better." Her thumb traced circles on my skin. Felt nice. Dangerous. I pulled away. I need to figure my shit out first. Packing up Jess's things, I found our wedding album buried in the closet. There we were, younger, happier, dumber. Me crying during my vows. Jess laughing as we smashed cake in each other's faces. Beneath it was a shoebox of ticket stubs and notes. Concert tickets from our first dates. A napkin where I'd written "Marry Me" in ketchup at a diner. I sat on the bedroom floor and cried for the people we used to be. Jess came by to sign the divorce papers on a rainy Tuesday. We stood in the empty kitchen where we'd shared 1,000 meals. "I'm sorry," she said again. This time I believed her. Me too. Not for the divorce, but for all the little ways we'd failed each other long before Mike ever entered the picture. The condo smelled like fresh paint and possibility. Max sniffed every corner while I unpacked the few boxes I'd kept. Our bed. Some photos. The ketchup-stained napkin. My phone buzzed. Sarah had sent a meme about starting over. I smiled. It wasn't the future I'd planned, but it was mine. Sarah texted me a week after the divorce was finalized. "Mike moved out today. I burned his stupid protein shakes. Want to get a real drink?" We met at a dive bar far from all the places that held memories. She wore a faded band t-shirt instead of the polished blouses I'd seen in her Facebook photos. "You look different," I said. She smirked. "Turns out I hate half the clothes in my closet. They were Mike's favorites." The way she made air quotes told me everything about their marriage. We traded stories over whiskey, the little lies we'd ignored, the gut feelings we'd dismissed. When the bartender called last call, Sarah reached for my hand. "This isn't a date," she said firmly. "But it's nice not to feel alone." I squeezed her fingers. "Yeah, it really is." I deleted all our couple photos from social media, but the internet wouldn't let me forget. Memories from 3 years ago today showed Jess and me grinning under the Eiffel Tower. "People you may know," suggested Mike's brother. The worst was Spotify. Our shared playlist, the one we'd made for our road trip down the Pacific Coast Highway, popped up every time I opened the app. "Get Back Together" by the Beatles played ironically as I scrambled to delete it. I paid $10 to switch to a new platform entirely. Some ghosts weren't worth the subscription fee. Jess's sister dropped off a cardboard box of things she thought you might want. Inside, the vintage Star Wars poster from my bachelor pad. My favorite spatula, why? Every birthday card she'd ever given me. At the bottom, our wedding vows handwritten on fancy parchment. I'd spent weeks perfecting mine. Hers was 3 sentences long. I burned them in the backyard fire pit. The parchment curled black at the edges, the ink disappearing first. My 70-year-old neighbor Mrs. Delaney saw me moping on the porch and brought over banana bread. "Divorce?" she asked bluntly. I nodded. She lit a cigarette, despite her oxygen tank, and said, "My third husband ran off with his dental hygienist. Best thing that ever happened to me." Third husband. Honey loves like a toilet seat. Sometimes you just need a new one. She patted my shoulder, leaving flower fingerprints on my shirt. For the first time in months, I laughed until I cried. I canceled Jess's membership at Iron Peak Fitness, but they required in-person termination. Mike was training a client by the squat racks when I walked in. Taller than I'd imagined. Less impressive. Our eyes met across the gym. He had the decency to look away first. The manager asked why I was canceling. "Infidelity discount didn't cover enough," I said loudly. Several heads turned. Mike's client suddenly needed a water break. Walking out, I realized I didn't hate him anymore. He was just some guy who'd shown me what my marriage really was. Sarah and I agreed to keep things platonic, but 6 weeks later we found ourselves at a nice Italian place. Not Antonio's. Never Antonio's. "You know this complicates things," she said, swirling her wine. "Good." I reached across the table. "I'm tired of simple." Her smile was worth every messy step that got us here. Jess texted on what would have been our anniversary. "I hope you're happy." I stared at the words, waiting for anger or sadness. All I felt was nothing. Sarah was making pancakes in my kitchen, singing off-key to 80s rock. Max wagged his tail at me hopefully. I deleted the message and went to steal a bite of batter. Some questions don't need answers. We were painting my bedroom when Sarah suddenly put down her roller. "You kept your wedding ring." It wasn't a question. The gold band sat in my top drawer where I'd thrown it months ago, but she'd somehow found it during one of her obsessive reorganizing sprees. "I forgot about it," I said, which was mostly true. Sarah wiped her hands on her paint-splattered jeans. "Bullshit. You're not over her." The accusation hung between us. Max whined from the doorway, sensing the tension. "I'm not pining for Jess if that's what you think." I dipped my roller in the tray, avoiding her eyes. "But 12 years doesn't just disappear because we're sleeping together now." Sarah's face did something complicated. She grabbed her keys and left without another word. The half-painted wall mocked me for hours. Jess's mother phoned me at work. "Mark, honey," Linda said in that gentle tone that always preceded bad news. "Jess is in the hospital. Just a minor car accident, but..." My stomach dropped. Which hospital? The Uber ride felt endless. I hated myself for still caring, for the way my hands shook as I signed the visitor log. Jess looked small in the hospital bed, her arm in a sling. When she saw me, her eyes filled with tears. "You came." Of course I came. The words came out sharper than intended. We sat in awkward silence until she whispered, "Mike left me." I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I just felt tired. Sarah showed up at my door with 2 bottles of wine and a cardboard box. "Open it," she demanded. Inside were every gift Mike had ever given her: jewelry, concert tickets, a hideous vase. "I was going to smash them," she admitted. "But then I thought, maybe we should do it together." We drove to the quarry at midnight. Watching Sarah hurl that vase into the darkness, her scream of release echoing off the rocks, I realized something fundamental. Healing isn't linear. Sometimes it's messy and loud and happens in the dead of night with someone who understands exactly how broken you feel. My cousin's invitation arrived on thick cardstock. Mr. and Mrs. Henderson request your presence. I stared at the +1 line. Sarah and I had been dating officially for 5 months, but bringing her felt like declaring something permanent. You're overthinking, Sarah said when I showed her. She took the pen from my hand and wrote her name in elegant script. We're going to dance, get drunk, and maybe make out in the photo booth. No tragic backstories allowed. At the reception, watching Sarah laugh with my aunts, something tight in my chest finally loosened. I woke gasping from a dream of Jess. We were in our old kitchen, but the cabinets kept opening to reveal hotel room numbers. She kept saying, "You never really knew me," and when I reached for her, my hands passed through like smoke. Sarah stirred beside me. Nightmare? Yeah. I ran a hand through my sweat-damp hair. Just ghosts. She kissed my shoulder and murmured, "They'll fade," before drifting back to sleep. I watched the sunrise paint our bedroom walls in gold, thinking, they already are. Sarah and I adopted a rescue dog to keep Max company. We named her Phoenix. Jess sent a congratulations card with no return address. I tucked it in the back of a drawer without showing Sarah. Some memories are allowed to stay private. On our first anniversary, Sarah gave me a framed photo from the wedding we'd attended. In it, we're mid-laugh, her head thrown back, my arm around her waist. No shadows between us. I keep it on my nightstand. Not to replace what came before, but to remind myself, after the fire there can still be light.